social economy. There are a lot. As I mentioned before, there are 3 types and 3 social enterprises and 23 cooperatives and 9 local business, but there are just legislative numbers. There are, in fact, more numbers of work communities in Gwangmyeong. So now I will introduce the cases of 3 enterprises and 1 case of a working community. So the first case will be Gwangmyeong Symphony Orchestra. That is a representative of social enterprise. This orchestra has various projects. We call it brunch concert. They perform classical music from 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. That's why brunch. And they perform twice a month in the marketplaces or parking places and everywhere in the community. And they also have a specialized project. It is called a family concert. Mother, father, and children, they can be members of orchestra together. They play together and they start having a conversation. And that is a kind of restoration of the family community. And to make fund, they try to get government's financing fund and subsidy and profits from charged tickets and donation from citizens. On the right side box represents the orchestra's annual record. Actually, it is not so high. Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah. And the next is the case of cooperative. The name is Dukobi Sanju School. Dukobi means toad. It's kind of frog. It starts way back in 2001 with Mother's Meeting, and they made a study circle focusing on the ecological environmental for 6 or 7 years. And finally in 2013, it becomes cooperative. Their major business are such as providing the children an opportunity to visit and experience forests because they don't have chance, because almost Korean students are very busy with the studying, so they don't have chance to go out. So they give them a chance to plant, cultivate, and harvest crops. Also, they run forest kindergarten and forest after school. So this is the right side box. This is the annual record of Dukobi Sanju School. And this is the case of local business. We call it Gwangmyeong Distributing Agency of the Vegetable Garden, run by city farmers. In 2007, there was a trend for those who live in a city to move out to the rural areas because they had ecological positiveness and also they were tired of living in the city. But in reality, it was not so easy to move to rural areas. Therefore, they are sort of farming just in the city, in the community. And now they educate the citizens, local residents, about farming and operate memberships of the vegetable garden, and they hold a city farming festival every year. Okay, so now they have another dream to buy an estate, approximately 6,600 meters squared, and supply crops after raising them. And also they want to consume the products in the same region where they have cultivated. And so they say all local agricultural products could be consumed in the same region. So this is the last case. This is a village school. This is a just case of a Korean version of a workers' collective. Workers' collective originated from France, but I believe this is very popular in Japan. This is based on self-reliance and cooperation. They focus on the social issues and they try to solve the problem by themselves. They promote the growth of local community. In 2003, they started studying and sharing. And the next year they organized the study circle, and after they run after school and open a community child center that is called Village School in 2010. In fact, Village School is not only an educational institution for the child care, but also community center for the local residents. They want to work with local resources in the community. For example, they have a very unique project that is called taking a walk around the village. If you translate to English, it means when children want to cook, they have a chance to cook at a local restaurant. They go to the local restaurant to cook. And the chief of the local restaurant is a teacher and instructor. And also when children want to learn how to cut the hair, they can do that in the local hairdressing shop. So school officials want to utilize all the resources by network in the community, so they hope these activities would help economically and socially, could help in the community. So, but until now, we have covered 4 cases of Kwangmyeong Symphony Orchestra, Dukkop Isanjo School, Kwangmyeong Distributing Agency of the Vegetable Garden, and Village School. These 4 have something in common, and they are learning human being, community, dreaming, and live together. And I have prepared a little clip of 4 representatives, so I'd like to know, I have 5 minutes, maybe it's good enough. I will play a very short video. This is the representative of orchestra, but he says very long, so I will just make it brief.
진짜 자기 전공하고 맞는 직종으로 콘서트로 보내는 상품이나 이들을 나름대로 안정화시키고 나름대로 묶어갈 수 있게. 서울시내
This is the representative.
무대를
long, so I will just make it brief.
쏟아서
This is the representative of the Kominkan-CLC school.
자연을 지키고
So you can read
생태 교육을
English here.
그런 활동. 근본적으로 사람은 이제 자연에서 나고 자연으로 돌아가는 게 그게 본능적으로 우리 밑에 다 있는 것 같아요. 그래서 자연에 매일 산책하고 거닐고 공부하고 자연의 생물들을 만나면서 우리 삶과 그들의 삶이 다르지 않다. 이런 걸 많이 배우게 돼요. 그래서 삶의 지혜를 갖게 되니까 일단 굉장히 깨닫는 게 많고 배우는 게 많고 그러면서 재미가 있고 그렇게 모인 사람끼리 모이는 재미가 또 있어요. 그래서
Yeah, this is the
학교라든지
This is the representative
교육기관들이 굉장히 많이 참여하고
Kwangmyeong Distributing Agency.
상당히 저변 확대가 많이 되는 것이 지금 그러하다고 생각합니다.
He is running the school about farming,
이제 마을위원회 형태
and also he tries to participate the kindergarten the children
특히 이제
as a children farmer in the city.
저변이 많이 확대된 걸로 좀 보여지지만 서로 위기적
But he's not in a good
서로
condition
돕는 그런
to run a
시스템이
social economy in Korea,
조만간
in Gwangmyeong.
해결이 될 걸로 기대하고 있습니다.
He has a difficulty.
학습이 실제적인 실천으로 연결이 될 때
He
필요한
emphasized
그
the
경제
learning
활동들이
and
수반이
practice.
되고요. 물질적 조건이 충족된다고 해서 다 되는 게 아니라 어떻게 그것을 잘 가꾸고 키울 거냐 할 때는 또 교육이라는
I will go
것도
to the last
다시
person.
접목이 돼야 되거든요. 그래서
우리 아이들을 어르신들이 다 알고 계세요. 그래서 그렇게 이제 서로 배우면서 마음을 바꿀 수 있었던 것 같거든요. 그래서 내가 정말 이런 좋은 기운들을 받아서 이렇게 변화하고 성장하고 정말 내 인생의 주인공으로서 내가 나의 인생의 주인공으로서 자존감을 가지고 행복하게 살아갈 수 있는 힘을 가졌다는 그거를 스스로 깨닫는 순간 굉장히 큰 어떤 행복을 제가 느꼈었거든요. 근데 이거는 나 혼자만 누릴 수 있는 것은 아니다.
So she wanna
내
share
주변에
it.
많은 사람들에게 이것을
She wanna share
전달하고
her
하면서
experience
좀 더
with the
많은
community local
나아가는
residents.
이런 자존감을 회복해서 행복한 삶을 살아나갔으면 좋겠다. 그것이 혼자만 살아남는 게 아니라 이웃과 더불어서 지역에서 내가 살고 있는 지역을 좀 더 함께 서로 더불어서 행복한 삶을 살아가는 지역 공동체로 만들어 나가면서 살았으면 좋겠다. 그런 생각을 저는 계속 하면서 이 일을 계속 할 수 있는 힘의 원동력이 되는 것 같아요.
Okay. So I will go back to my presentation again. This one. Okay. Okay. Yes. So now let us think about lifelong learning and social economy. We can also find something in common between these two. The lifelong learning from a learning community by daily learning and aim for a life living together by paying attention to local issues and practice activities. And social economy is community activities formed by residents, voluntarily, and it aims for a community centered on human beings and lives. So social economy's characteristics stands with education for the people, self-directed learning, and community's value and realization. At the end, we can find that they are in the same context of learning, community, and self-governing in learning. That's why I believe the social economy based on lifelong learning will make sustainable local community for co-evolution. But still, we have a task to solve. Even though social economy is growing steadily and rapidly every year in Korea, in Gwangmyeong, the supporting departments are separate, as I mentioned in the preface, and there is no supporting law yet as a whole for the Social Enterprise Act, Cooperative Act, local business and work communities, etc. So we need to legislate a law of social economy to generalize each law. Also, we need to discuss in depth from I'll finish it. From aspect of lifelong learning. As we see now, lifelong learning is the best area to make social economy sustainable. So, but in Korea, we don't have higher interest about social economy based on the lifelong learning. It is not common to study on the context between social enterprise and learning. At this point, so we need to study more for a phenomenon which is present in a practice field after learning. That means we need to have a concern about social agenda which new emerge with lifelong learning perspectives. So at this point, we can think about the role and commitments of CLCs. What can we do for the promotion of social enterprise in terms of community development? In Korea, there are more than 129 lifelong learning cities, and there are a lot of CLCs. But frankly, most of us do not focus on the community-based learning, sometimes I feel, we force the citizens to consume the learning. We describe that learning consuming. And we ignore the practice after learning. And also we ignore the needs on the ownership from the citizens in the community learning center. We forget that the owner in CLCs has to be the citizens and local residents. So that's what we can think about it from now on. So that is our task to solve. Actually, I want to get a solution from this session. So this is the last part. I think the time has almost come to close my presentation. So, okay, this is the last part. Before I close, there is one last quote. This is a quote that says in our lobby at the Kominkan Lifelong Learning Center, "Let education be a movement of life, like flowers bloom in the spring, like the wind blows, like crops grow noiselessly. Let a change drop in our daily life." So when I saw this quote in the lobby, I felt what my responsibility is in the community. So the change comes without any sound. I'm sure that our concern about social economy and lifelong learning for the community will make our living better without any sound. Finally, thank you very much for listening, and I hope this presentation will be helpful for you. Thank you. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you very much, Ms. Min Soon-Shin. So we're left with only 10 minutes for Q&A. And those who would like to send in questions to our first presenter from Nepal, Social Business for Financial Sustainability. Do you have clarifications on the presentation of Niroj? Yes, the ladies first.
ありがとうございます。
Please introduce yourself and your organization.
日本ですみません。日本の九州福岡から参りました岡と申します。2つの素晴らしい発表ありがとうございました。私は特にネパールから運営の報告にご質問したいんですけれども、非常にCLC の中でのプロジェクトが専門的なものになっていっている気がするんですけれども、そのプロジェクトの発案はどういうふうにやっていくのかということと、実際のプロジェクトの指導者、講師は、誰がどういうふうに、探してきているのかということを含めてやっているのかということについて教えていただきたいと思います。
Mr. Niroj, come over.
Thank you, Oka-san. Actually, we work in different networks in Nepal. We have alliances, we have farmers network group, we have women's network group. So there we do need assessment, and there we find different needs of the community. So from that meetings that is held like sometimes monthly, once in 2 months, we find different activities to do. So as we are a part of, it's not a part of government, but we are government initiated CLCs. So we have good relation with line agency. That means like Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Livestock, Ministry of Education. So we get trainers from the line agencies. As
Thank you. Another question, sir?
Thank you very much. Jess Fernandez from Philippines. It's amazing that you have so much activities in your CLC. It's really, it's kind of difficult for me to imagine how you really manage all these things. But at the same time, you are saying you don't get much funds from the government, nor from any other agencies. So my question is like, how did you start up? Where did you get the funds to start all these activities? And how do you sustain all these activities if you don't get funding from the government and or from other agencies? And the other aspect that I would like to ask is like, these are agricultural activities, and we all know that agriculture, when you talk about the value chain, you start from production to marketing. But I don't know how much of the trainings are allocated for the area of how people are taught to market their produce, because if you don't have any market, then you don't earn income, and then that's going to be waste unless you have some post-production activities that you do. So those are the things that I would like to really ask. Thank you.
Thank you for this nice question. Actually, I told in the presentation that we are community initiative, and we have good boundaries in the community. And the first initiative we did in our community is we started a community college. That time we estimated how much money we needed for that project, and we have like voluntary participation. Especially when we need money, we gather community. We have like community workshop. We have like that kind of programs where we raise donations. So for the donations, we see these are like community initiative, the money given by the community members, one thing. And we have also network of the teachers who are in government, and they also support some monthly, like 50 rupees, that is very less money, and we have 150 to 200 members who donate sometimes like that. We, from government also, we have very less fund. I don't say we don't have fund. Just 50,000, that's $500 for a whole year, and we have to also pay the staff members. And from UNESCO, we have sometimes side project, small project. And let me say, like, we have like low cost and no cost management in our organization. For us, I am doing volunteer in my office. For CLC, I work for free, and I work in college, and I teach in college, so there I get some money. And for documentation things, for other things which I get, I donate. In that way, we have that system developed now. So whenever like people get some money from the trainings, they also contribute that way. We are managing. So we always try to say it's a community initiative, but it's very difficult, very challenging in terms of finance. We have also experience working with the Euro project and sometimes with the foreign aids also. But this time we are extremely looking for our new projects to sustain ourselves. So this time we come to work on the social business project, and now we look forward to social business project, and we have leased some 500 square feet land in community. So we want to do something in our own so that we can earn money. I hope within 4-5 years time, the Singapore CLC will be self-financing one. I have learned about the Portuguese model of the self-financing. I hope, let's see for that, so that we can be self-sustaining and we don't need to depend on the foreign fund. But still, for the infrastructure, for the development things, for that period also we need fund. That is very true, and that is the one thing we are looking for. And while we talk about the value chain, and especially talk about the marketing, it's very challenging. But we are residing in the near Kathmandu market. In Kathmandu, there are 4 million people live, and in my area, there is a massive like Buddhist people also they are coming to live in numbers here. So we have good market in our own locality. So our target is especially to encourage youth to produce those things which are very much sellable in the market, and we have good like network groups. They send that to the market, and we are also afraid of the middleman exploitation, of course. So we want to remove that kind of thing so that the farmers get more money from their own production. So we are working for marketing things. Thank you. Any more questions, please?
Okay, let's give a hand to Sir Niruj. Very interesting. If you have more questions, maybe during lunchtime, you can ask him. Now, questions to our second speaker from Korea. Anybody who would like to have more information on social entrepreneurship based on lifelong learning in Korea? Okay, Sir Jess. Okay.
It's amazing how Ms. Chung said a while back earlier that most of the CLCs that you have are really government supported. Okay. This is just a hypothetical question, if I may ask you. If there would not be any government support, would the lifelong learning centers that you have still survive? And how would you like to do that? How would you
That's the
sustain
problem we have now.
Ah, okay. So no answer yet for you. Okay.
Okay, so that's a big question for community learning centers that are actually funded by the government. And we know in this particular decade, the government is funding less and less in some instances, in some centers, in some projects, and how to handle such situation is very important and challenging. So as of now, there is no response or answer to that. Another question, please. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Min Soon-Shin, for your presentation. I would like to ask about your center. I would like to know more about the role of your center and the initiative for starting this project. Come from the local company or from each people, or coming from the center itself. So I would like to know more about your roles and how you initiate the projects.
Well, actually, my organization is funded by the city of Mexico. All the funds come from the city. So that's why we don't have the same kind of this organization which are suffering from all kinds of funding problems. Now we are trying to incubate the people who want to set up the social enterprises in Kominkan. So we try to make programs about what cooperative is, what social enterprise is, how to account, what mobile accounting, and how to calculate the budget. So what is the concept of cooperation? What is the aim for staying in the local residence? So we are provide all kinds of citizens education to them. And also, many NGOs and NPOs, they don't have enough facilities to share the meetings and discussions and study. They can come to my organization to use the facilities that is free. And also, those who want to study with as a study circle, they can also use my facilities without any money, paying the money. So that's why we try to make a hub role in the community so that many citizens they just gather and they talk and they discuss in the my center. So that's why we have many. We could generate many social enterprises and local business and cooperatives. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's give a hand to both our speakers. I'm sure that you have learned a lot from our presentations for this morning session. Did you learn something? Yes. Can you give me a word on what you have learned? Just one word. Who said yes? Something you learned. Something, just one word. What have you learned? Empowerment. Yeah? Okay, another one? I heard something. Cooperation. Collaboration. Another one, sir? Huh? Synergy. Good. Okay, another one? Another word? Where's the income? All right. I would like to turn over processing of question number 1 to our dear professor, who will take on the first question. But I'll flash the first question for presentation in the plenary session this afternoon. Sir.
それではですね、残された午前中の時間があと35分ほどであります。1時をめどに午前中の会を終わらせたいと思っているんですけれども、この後、ここで進めていきたいことはですね、本日の分科会が終わった後、もう一度